Happy New Year. Hello, hello. I know I haven't been on here for a while now, but I just wanted to come in this morning and just share something that the Lord just put in my heart from an experience that I had. So I was able to travel last night to Kenya for vacation. And while on the flight, there was a medical emergency, and I found myself having to be part of the team that had to help with that. And that's not a big thing because, I'm an RN and that's part of our work. But um, this morning, the captain sent me a message, just a thank you message. And as I reflected through that message, it brought some thoughts and reflection to me, and that's what I want to share with you as a child of God. And I'm going to entitle this video Preparation, or the Importance of Preparation. So let me start off by saying this. Once I became a nurse, one of the things I had to do was we have to usually go for SELS practice or um, recertification every 3 months. And sometimes that was almost like, my goodness, why do we have to keep doing this? And I remember my first SELS class, because I was working in step down ICU, so I had to do the class. I didn't pass the class, so I had to redo the class. But the importance of the class was I found myself in the class, part of the people who were in the class who were pilots and flight assistants. But the interesting person that I was intrigued about was the pilot. I was like, why is the pilot in this class? And after sharing with him, because we were put in a team together, he actually told me that actually for them pilots, they usually have to do the class every 3 months. And I was like, wow, that's more than us medical people. But, I didn't ask him any more questions, or so we went through that class. Of course, we created a team. We had to do a code as part of the class, and of course the pilot was part of the class. Part of the things you do when you're running a code, you have something called loop communication, where every member of the code is assigned a duty, and you have to agree among yourselves and make sure that everybody knows what their duty is. There's usually a team leader, so the team leader assigns everybody an assignment, and we have to be synchronized and see that everybody understands their role. So fast forward, the day before I traveled, of course I had worked, and I was hoping that that day the shift would be okay, because I wanted to leave at exactly 7, since I only had 2 hours to go home and sleep and then get ready for my international trip. At 6 o'clock, there is a code, and I'm like, oh my God, so I'm not going to be able to leave at 7 and all that. Anyhow, we do the code. The patient, we managed to save them, send them to ICU, and I managed to go home. I didn't get my 2 hours sleep, so I just was able to prepare and, of course, go catch my flight. What I did not realize was that God was actually preparing me. First of all, of course, the SCLS training, where I had a pilot as part of my team. And then, of course, that morning for the running a code, which was a quick reminder. I mean, when you go through a code, we have them from time to time, but when you've been part of it, of course, it's fresh in your mind. So I had just done a code 24 hours before. Find myself on British Airways. We're traveling to Kenya. We're about 4 hours from Kenya, and there's a medical crisis. So, of course, the pilot asked. I always imagined in a plane, there's always a doctor. Well, I realized yesterday that is not the truth. They actually usually hope that among the passengers there's going to be some medical personnel, and hopefully there's going to be a doctor. Well, British Airways 65 was not disappointed when they called for medical assistance. We showed up. One of us was a doctor. One of us was resident doctor, so she was a student who is a medical student, and then there were 2 RNs, one of them being me. So we found ourselves a team of 4, and we had to run this code because of the medical crisis that was there. So, of course, we quickly reminded ourselves, of course, how do we do a code? Assigned a team leader. The doctor, of course, was the team leader. We assigned each other responsibilities. I happened to be the one having to, go through the medications and, of course, write down what we were giving, which was good for me because I had just run a code, remember, 12 hours ago at work, and I actually had been the person assigned the same responsibility. What I marveled about was how God is so specific, had prepared me for that. Of course, in the plane, it's different. There's just this box that's called the doctor's box, so I had to kind of figure out. But because it was fresh in my mind, what I was seeing was it's a med cart, find out where the medicine is, the ambu bag, everything that we needed to help with the situation that we were in. It just amazed me at how God is so specific. Prior to that, of course, I was in the plane sleeping. I like to watch movies on the plane. I usually ask God, help me to get a movie that is going to be helpful to me. So the movie I had watched was about some Zimbabwean guys who had found themselves as refugees from Zimbabwe to South Africa and had been introduced into wine testing. And for them to go for this competition, they had to work as a team. Everybody had to do their role. And the teamwork thing was so important because that's what made them successful. So it reminded me of, again, the teamwork. What happens when you're a team? What happens when everybody in the team knows their skill? What happens when everybody in the team respects the other and you're able to work as a team? And so I was just reminded, and I just wanted to encourage you as a child of God. Never, never think that any preparation you're going through is for nothing, especially when you're a child of God. God uses everything, everything. Look at my case. The SELS training, there was a pilot as part of my group. Little did I know that years later, I would have to be running a COD with a pilot. Secondly, I had to run a COD that morning to prepare me, refresh that skill. Little did I know that 12 hours later, on the plane, I would have to be part of a COD team. And that refresher course, having just done it 12 hours ago, it was fresh in my mind. I was able to run it successfully, of course, with the other team members that we were there. But that just reminded me of how specific God is. The movie, God had just showed me the importance of teamwork and how hard work, just everything that God uses for his glory. And so I just wanted to encourage us as children of God, just realize that every skill God has allowed you to learn, one day it's going to come into use. I'm reminded of a story that I read one time of a lady who was the only survivor in a plane crash. The reason she survived was because a week earlier, God had kept reminding her to practice her swimming. And she kept wondering, why am I having this urge to swim several laps? And she would swim and the Holy Spirit would remind her, do another lap, do another lap. And on the day of the crash, of course, the plane crash landed in the ocean. She was able to survive because she was able to swim several yards to show that is what saved her. Now, if as a Christian, and she writes this in a book, that if she had not listened to the Holy Spirit and had not practiced that, she never would have made it and she would have died. And so I just want to encourage you as children of God, just to remember that there is nothing that is a waste. God uses everything. Let's learn this year, 2023. Let it be a year that we are sensitive to the Holy Spirit, sensitive to what God is saying, and sensitive to be intentional. If you have to learn a skill, if you have to refresh a skill, do it. Pay attention to it. You don't know when you're going to need to use it. So I just wanted to encourage you with that. And thank you for listening to me. I hope this is helpful for somebody. I hope this is a reminder for somebody. And thank you. You're valuable. Your skills are valuable. You never know when you're going to need it. And to all the medical personnel, thank you for always showing up no matter where. Thank you for the team on BA 65, the doctor, the nurses, that we were able to work as a team. Thank you for us just working as a team and being able to save a life. I'm so grateful, so thankful that God allowed me to be part of this opportunity. Thank you and God bless you.